And good evening, everybody. Welcome to the latest edition of the African American Athlete live stream. I'm Ricky Hampton, along with my friend and frat brother, Michael Robinson, coming to you on a Monday evening. Hope everybody had a great weekend and tell your friends about us. We're streaming live on YouTube at the African American Athlete website. We'll try to post this to our African American Athlete Facebook page following the show. Uh, but we hope you enjoy the show and glad to have you here tonight. What's up, Newt? How you doing, brother?
Oh, yo, yo. Yeah, it's a cool. I had a kind of adventurous day. I had the San Jose Sharks. So, we got inclement weather around here. We got rain and it's windy.
Good evening,
So I had
everybody.
to,
Welcome to the
navigate
latest
myself
edition of
up
the
and down
African
the
American Athlete Live Stream.
880 and then get down to San Jose and see the Sharks get shut out 4-0.
How,
And,
how's it going? And the Sharks, they got the new GM, the brother that's the
well, yeah,
GM.
it's year
And
two now, and it's year two, and it looks like a rebuild. So I don't know what the patience level is going to be. Not only he, but his coach is also in his second year, Coach Quinn, who coached the Rangers before, so he has experience. But I don't know if they're going to be tied together, or is it going to be a situation where they say, "Hey, one has to go, the other one can stay," or I don't know what the scenario is. But it's a tough year, and like I said, 4-0. I mean, I guess there is some solace to losing 4-0 to the defending champions, the Vegas. And they don't want you to say lost, the lost part, but Vegas Golden Knights. And
wait a minute, why they don't want you to say Los
I
Angeles?
don't know, people get picky like that, but yeah, they have them labeled as Vegas Golden Knights. So it starts with a V. If you're looking for it to start with an L, you go you can be out of luck. Yeah, they want to be called the Vegas Golden Knights, not Las Vegas. Hey,
Whatever.
right.
Hey,
But
Mike. Speaking of Vegas and the Bay Area, okay. Now, is this the A's last year in Oakland?
all right, and you know what? And it's funny because some of myself and my colleagues are over at the Shark Tank. Once again, giving them some pub over at the Shark Tank. We both had a situation where we're asking, what's the deal? Because they're throwing out locations like Sacramento, which they are a AAA location, but
Right.
they might play in Sacramento after this year because this is supposedly the lame duck year. But then there's also stuff floating around about the Vegas mayor Goodman, who's the wife of the former mayor Goodman, and so she ends up taking over the helm as the mayor of Sin City. But she was, quoted as to say, "Well, their best bet probably is to go back to Oakland." But I'm like, hey, I think that bridge has been burned, and I guess it'll have to be the Bay Bridge. That bridge has been burned.
So
Um,
it's no way they will be in Oakland next.
After next year, and I'm just wondering what it's going to look like. They already had a dearth of fans anyway. Now that they really feel like they're being, slapped in the face, and they had a couple of those little reverse protests where
Right.
people come out just to protest, and then you get the biggest crowds of the year, and then then it goes back to the Bob Euchre seats. So I don't. It's a mess. It's a mess, and there's a group trying to put a recall together to get rid of the latest mayor.
Mike, when they were winning big in the late 80s, I think you may have still been in Milwaukee at that time.
Right, right.
And you came out shortly after that. They were they getting the crowds back then with
I
those
mean, yeah,
great
they had
teams?
great crowds there. I see. It's a couple of things that happen. From me watching from afar, because of course, I had vested interest during that time because my favorite player of all time was on the A's, Dave Parker. So I was watching the A's, and plus I love Ricky Henderson when he played and all that. And I almost ended up out here around that time because I graduated. I graduated in '89, and I was sent resumes all over the country. We didn't have the internet back then.
Right.
Sent resumes all over the country via snail mail. And one station in Salinas, which is down towards the central coast, down towards Monterey, Santa Cruz area. So this station in Salinas said, "Hey, if you come out here, we'll have an interview with you. And there's a TV station. I'm like, oh man. So I'm trying to figure out, okay, how am I gonna get out there? So I ended up working for a certain airline. I'm not gonna get them any plug on here, but a certain airline at the Milwaukee airport. And just to give a hint, it's also associated with one of the Divine Nine. Okay, so so anyway, I work for that airline. I was working for that airline, and
I figured that one out, Mike.
I was working. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be a Sigmund Gun Moreau airline, but I was trying to get it where you get the flights. You know, how
Right,
after
right.
30 days, you say, oh yeah, I could fly these interviews. You know, and I got somebody I kind of wanted to hang out with out
That
here
was
in the
smart of
area.
you, by the way.
Well, yeah, but this is what happened though. This is what made it horrible. So I graduated with honors, cum laude. Should have been magna cum laude, but that's gonna get me upset with people like Rudy Kalis at Channel 4, and then Dr. James, our theater teacher. So anyway, I graduated honors and all this stuff. So and I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna use my communication skills. I'm gonna be a ticket agent. Be able to talk to the people. Get them on their
Yeah.
flights and all that stuff. No, they get congratulated with me with a great degree and all that stuff. You're going out there on the ramp. I said, oh no, I, no, no, no. And I just felt like I was being, this is before the show came out, but I felt like I was being punked. They're like, are you serious? I'm not going to
Right.
be going out there. Then I'm hearing these guys say, yeah, all these war stories. Yeah, I had all kind of knee surgeries because your knee gets twisted up when you're doing a bath. I had back injuries. All I said, man, there's
Yeah.
no way I worked all this hard for 4 years to be
Right.
relegated to this. So let's just say I didn't make it to the 30 days. Okay. So I didn't get the flight. I said, I'm done. So then that was messed up. But then fast forward a few months later, I'm going to see my godchildren, and then I was talking to their uncles, and also I got to say rest in peace to Jose, who was one of the uncles. He just passed away, so rest in peace, Jose. But I was I was going to. I said, hey, what's the score of the game? What's happening? He said, oh man, it's postponed. The World Series is postponed. I said, what happened? He said, man, they had a big earthquake out there. So that was my connection with them then. And I said, man, maybe it's a good thing I didn't go out there. So then, of course, I ended up moving out here maybe 12 years later, but I still was kind of had my feelers out here just in case. And during that time, and the A's would go to World Series in increments. Because remember, in the 70s, 72, 73, 74, they won all
They
three.
won all three.
Right. So then they fast forward to the Tony La Russa time. They go 3 straight years, 88, 89, 90. But they only won one of them, and that was the earthquake one where nobody even cared about the outcome.
Right.
Because the other one they lost to the Detroit the Tigers.
No.
I mean the Dodgers.
Yeah, the Tigers beat the
He,
Padres.
he used to be on the
Kirk Gibson.
Yeah, Kirk Gibson. Yeah.
Gibson.
Yeah. So yeah.
Saw him at the golf range the other
Right,
day.
exactly. That's the 88 one. And then 90, they got swept by the Reds. And that's with Mars shot and all her racist comments about those players when they won. So that's the thing. That's the last time they were really, really relevant. And then of course the whole Moneyball stuff came later.
Hey, let me say that was a good movie. I enjoyed that movie, by the way. Hey, but let me tell you, you made a good decision with the airlines thing. I had a buddy who worked 17 years and he was out on the ramp and went out with disability because his back gave out on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so good move. It worked out for you in that respect. But anyway, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I hope by some kind of miracle, the Oakland A's should be the Oakland A's in my.
Well, but there's people in Kansas City and Philadelphia and said, hey, we used to have them here. You know?
Yeah, they had them there. Yeah.
And that's pretty much every California team out here, except for, the Raiders.
Well, the Dodgers were actually in New York.
Brooklyn,
right?
really.
Yeah.
The only ones that really were here, they try to say the A's are rooted in Oakland, but the only ones that are really from here are the Raiders and the 49ers.
Yeah. And some of that is as our country began to expand
in the 50s. Yeah.
west too. But yeah, but Mike, we got to talk about the get your thoughts on the NBA All-Star game. Won 211. It was very. I mean, Mike, it used to be a competitive game. I remember those games. They would be high scoring. It might be 140, 130, but fourth quarter, those guys are trying to guard each other. This was 211 to 186.
Right. And I got a whole bunch of opinions about this. Think about this.
Well, go, wait a minute, hold on.
Okay.
Go.
Okay. So the last time it was in Naptown was 85. So my senior year of high school. And of course, I was absolutely geeked about this one because once again, the Iceman was a starter. And this was also Michael's rookie year. So Micah had all his Air Jordan gear on, and then all the rumors about that they were icing him out. Remember that?
Yeah.
And so the Iceman, of course, was lighting him up. And I think that they came to him and said, hey, you know, what about this freezing out of Michael Jordan? He said, what are you going to do against Michael Jordan? He said, no, you need to change that phrase around. What is the Michael Jordan going to do against the Iceman? So he said, you know, because it's like you kind of like dissing me by asking me about what I'm going to do against a rookie. So you had all that going on, and then Pat Riley had his little sinister moments where he just didn't really like the Iceman. He would always jerk him around All-Star games. So Ralph Sampson got the Rookie of the Year, but that was competitive. And then you fast forward it when it started to kind of lose its luster. I would say maybe late 90s, you start to see that, okay, it's not the same thing. And the dunk contest was starting to get tired and all that. But think about this. It has not been in Milwaukee since 1977. You want to know the significance of that year? That was the year the ABA got absorbed. Those 4 teams got absorbed. And the ABA absolutely dominated the All-Star game. And that was in Milwaukee Arena before it became the Mecca. So that was the small arena. So they've had 2 arenas since then, no All-Star game. They had the Bradley Center, which was in 1988, and then Fiserv right now, which is maybe about 5 years old, maybe. So, you know, I don't know. And I like what Brian Anderson, who was the play-by-play guy for the game, he said that, well, hopefully it'll be in Milwaukee soon. I said, yeah, somebody talk to Adam Silver, because think about this. Next year it's out here in San Francisco, and then the following year is down in Inglewood, up to no good, because that's going to be the new Clippers arena. Now, if it's in 2027, that would be the 50th anniversary of the last time I was in Milwaukee. So that would be apropos for Adam Silver to do that, because it makes no sense that they had 2 new arenas and they don't even get the All-Star game. But you've had it in Salt Lake City multiple times. Really?
But Mike, the game itself, the way it's being,
Yeah.
the way it's being played today.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It was abysmal. I mean, you know, yeah, it's kind of funny to watch Dame Lillard pull up from half court, but they are playing absolutely no defense. And really, to be real honest, the last time it was really exciting and defense was really being played was when Allen Iverson and Marbury were playing for the East. And I think that this one was in DC, and this was I believe 2000 or 2001. And they had that dramatic comeback, and Iverson and everybody was hyped, and they came all the way back. The East came all the way back and beat the West, because I think the West had won consecutive years. So that's the last time I really remember it being competitive. I mean, it was kind of competitive when they were doing the captains pick the teams. Because remember how LeBron's team won every year? He had that long consecutive streak. But once they go right back to the East versus the West, it was terrible again. So
yeah,
Adam Silver's going to have to really, really evaluate this.
And you could tell, I don't know if you heard Adam Silver before the game, he was hoping, I hope these guys are more competitive this year. And after the game, I didn't say, I got to be honest, I turned it off after the first quarter because it was
Yeah.
just it was so bad. I mean, this was, the Pro Bowl has gotten out to be
Oh
the
yeah.
Pro Bowl game got to be, but I kind of understand the NFL. I mean, that's a brutal game. You don't want to try to light each other up in a Pro Bowl game. So that's kind of changing the scheme. I don't know what you can do. You can't make the winning share enough for it to matter to them, Mike, because they make so much money uh, to begin with. So I don't know. I don't know about the game. It All Star Weekend is a celebration of the sport, and it's nothing like the NBA. And they had a lot of great things. The 3-point contest was, I mean, fun. Uh, Steph and the young lady, her name slips my mind, Mike.
And Inescu.
Great shooter. That was fun. The dunk contest, I like the old school where these guys just organically
Mm-hmm.
dunk the ball. I'm not a big fan of the props. I don't know how much more that can go because all these guys can get up and dunk it. It must be 50 guys in the league that can give you any kind of dunk, any kind of way you want to see it. So maybe go to some skill competitions like the Pro Bowl. But it's nothing major. But maybe they shouldn't hype it up so much with the grand introduction. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
If you're
exactly.
gonna give us that, you can't give us
Then it's a
this.
big letdown afterwards, right?
Right.
Um,
It's like Florida A&M's band comes on the field, man. They have this nobody makes an interest to a football game, to a halftime show like FAMU when they come out with their stuff. But after that, they're still a very good band. But
right,
what you remember about FAMU is the way they enter the game,
right.
enter the right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
So, I don't know about that.
Well,
And,
see now, but here's the drawback. I didn't get a chance to see Gramblin's band up close and personal because they were suspended. They were disallowed to come up to TSU by something that happened before. So that's what I'm saying. That some of that stuff I missed out on. The cues were suspended the whole time I was there, and then the news at least half of the time I was there. So there's a lot of stuff that I missed out on because they had stuff going on. So it was some type of incident that happened between Grambling and TSU that the band wasn't able to come up there.
yeah, well, anyway, but the All Star game was a big dud, to say for sure. And we also had some news across the NBA today. Jacque Vaughn was fired in New Jersey. Uh, he took over last year. He was 21 and 33 when he took over for what's my guy's name, Mike?
Steve Nash.
Steve Nash. And Mike, wasn't it 2 years ago everybody was talking about the watch out for the Nets? They had Katie, they had uh
Kyrie
Harden,
and Kyrie.
they had Kyrie, and now all them dudes gone. The coach is gone. Jacque Vaughn is gone. Now Kevin Ollie is the interim. Kevin Ollie, longtime NBA player who coached his alma mater, UConn, to the national title in 2014.
Which they're trying to discredit.
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
Kevin Ollie won a national championship
Right.
in 2014, and he was out of college basketball.
Right.
What, 2 or 3 years later?
But they put some kind of scandal on his name, just like how they try to do Penny right now. Penny's going through all kind of drama. He's never really been able to just coach. It's like stuff over his head, the whole Wiseman deal and everybody else. So I don't know if he'll ever really be able to do his thing at his alma mater. But yeah, Ali was like what, maybe the third or fourth black coach to win a national championship.
Yeah.
I think it was after Tubby, so he might have been. I think he might have been fourth because it was Nolan Richardson was after John Thompson, and then I think Tubby was third. And then I think it was Ali.
And I look at Tom Izzo at Michigan State. He's won one title. He's been to the Final
Yeah,
Four three
yeah.
or four times. But man, he's been there 30 years. He got the same amount of titles as
I know.
and he could be
And,
mayor.
and had scandal. And had scandal floating around
Right.
where somehow that got washed away.
He could be governor of Michigan. Well, no, he couldn't, because I forgot. University of Michigan, half the state would hate him, the other half would love him.
That's true.
But yeah, so Kevin Ollie gets his chance, and they got Ben Simmons there who hardly plays. I mean, that's really a team going nowhere, Mike. They're gonna have to uh, probably just blow this thing up and start over.
Right. I mean, and think about it. Since they've made the move to Brooklyn from New Jersey, I mean, they've had ups and downs, but it never really got to that plateau of a possible championship. But they really did think, you keep hearing about, oh, if KD's toe wasn't on the line. And I said, yeah, but you know what? There's also precipitating scenarios before that. And the only reason he got that shot is because the Bucks couldn't rebound the ball. The game would have been over if they'd have rebounded it. So, you keep hearing about that. Well, that's the only reason why. And then Kyrie got hurt and, all these excuses. But the bottom line is they came up short, just like the Clippers. Now the Clippers are up there again, like, oh, this might be their year. They're going to finally do it. And, we'll see if they get past that or they're going to have another meltdown in the playoffs. Then, of course, the old, oh, yeah, they were going to win and during the bubble, but they just didn't really want to be there. I'm like, stop. Then why did you even come there?
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens to them. They are 21 and 33. Was Kevin Ollie the best? Hopefully he can get his I mean, clearly this man is a quality coach, and hopefully he can make something out of this and maybe move on to a better situation. There was also news involving LeBron James at the All-Star game. There were rumors going around that the Warriors were trying to trade for him, and he said that he went on the air last night and said those rumors didn't go very far at all, and that he has an option after this year. He says, I'm a Laker and I'm happy and have been very happy being a Laker the last 6 years, and hopefully it stays that way. I don't think LeBron's going anywhere at this stage of his career. I mean, he's done everything you want to do. The only thing he can maybe do now is try to win one more and perhaps play with his son if he takes some time to if he's able to develop into an NBA player. Your thoughts on that?
I mean, and of course, Austin Rivers, took some flack because he was saying that, you know what, Bronny, I don't know if you really want to go down this path, because he was trying to give him advice from his perspective, being the son of an NBA player. Then, of course, Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes on all that smoke, they just went off and started calling him a hater because they didn't look at what perspective he was trying to bring it from. He was saying it, I would assume, out of love, saying, look, you don't want to get set up for failure by you not really being ready, and then all the pressure that's going to be on you. I mean, think about it. You still are recovering from that heart attack. And then I don't know if you've really been ingratiated into this whole USC puzzle, because he's averaging 6 points a game, and I'm not sure how many minutes he's played because he was on minute restrictions at first. I don't know if that's changed, but, I was watching the game when they came here, and he had his average. He had 6 points. He had a spectacular dunk, made a three, made, I think, a free throw, and missed a free throw, but nothing spectacular. And he had to deal with this nonsense. As soon as he touched the ball, he got booed. Because
well, he's going. And no, I'm sorry, Mike. Go on and finish. I'm
just saying, and so basically, he's getting booed vicariously through his father. So if this is happening here at USC at a game at Maples Pavilion, you know what it's going to be like if he tries to make the move to the NBA. So that's why I understand what Austin Rivers was trying to say. And like I said, Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, they kill me, especially with the disrespect they do. Like Matt Barnes, for some reason, got to stick up his butt about Mo Cheeks. He called Mo Cheeks all kind of disrespectful names because Mo Cheeks told him, dude, stop shooting that jumper and get down low and try to do something. So he took that as offensive and called him all kind of out of his name. And then Steven Jackson, when he was playing in the 3-on-3, he getting in an argument with why am I forgetting his name? From Virginia Union.
Ben Wallace?
No, the original Virginia Union.
Charles Oakley. Charles Oakley.
Yeah, Charles Oakley. Yeah. So Charles Oakley is his coach.
That's my alma mater, man.
I know. That's why I said that. But yeah, he's getting an argument with Charles Oakley over playing time because he said, "Dude, go sit down because you're sitting here trying to argue with the refs." So he's gonna try to say he's gonna check himself back in the game, forget you as coach. Then Charles Oakley is ready to fight with him. I'm like, really? And then he gets on Walt Frazier. So Walt Frazier said, you know what? Maybe we should deduct some points from Kevin Durant for not only blowing that series against the Warriors, but then turning around and joining them. So he said, a legitimate comment. He said, oh, man, I can't stand this dude with his dusty suits and all this stuff. I said, really, dude? You going to really disrespect a legend like that, like you were that good?
I was going to say, first of all, Matt Barnes, Mo Cheeks, Hall of Fame point guard.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
And Matt Barnes, Steven Jackson, Walt Frazier, one of the dudes that helped build this league.
I know.
That makes no sense, man.
But that's what they do on that all the smoke, and all they do is to try to rip on people. So now they're attacking Austin Reeves. I can say Austin Reeves, but Austin Rivers, because he's trying to say, Bronny, take your time. Don't set
I'm all for take. But here's one thing about Bronny. To me, Mike, I'm not worried about his numbers. He's got to get his feet back under him.
Yeah.
What he averages, I know he's not playing a lot of minutes. I guarantee you, he's probably playing in the 20 in terms of minutes.
Right.
Let's watch this guy and see what he does next year. That's going to be, you go through something like that, bro, and it's amazing he's back on the court playing. So, and secondly, when he decided he's going to play basketball, you don't think his dad set him down, dude, is this what you really want? Because this is what you're going to get. So I know you still got to go through it, but he's been prepped for that. That's just like Tiger Woods with his son, Charlie. Dude, is this what you want? Because, yeah, I mean, two of the greatest, you want to follow two of the greatest players in arguably the greatest players in the history of that game. So you know there's some heat going to come with that. I'm sure they understand that. But if that's something they want to do, hey, all for them. But watch Bronny next year. I'm going to be really interested to see. And I hope he comes back. I think if he tried to go this year, it would be a mistake. He needs another year.
That's what I'm saying. But here's the connection. And then also, let me throw in this caveat that you mentioned those two guys, and they coincidentally had the same birthday.
Is that not amazing?
But here's the other caveat that's going to be happening with Bronny. Not only if he comes back, it'll be a lot of stuff in front of him, but guess what? He's going to now be in a new conference.
Right.
They'll be in the Big Ten, and he could go back home and play at Ohio State, play against Ohio State and all that. So,
and watch this. Watch everywhere they go next year, they will sell out. Just because this kid. So his NIL money, his NIL money will be off the chart. If that's something he's trying to do. I mean, I don't know how hungry he is. I mean,
Right.
come on. He ain't missing no meal.
But here's his counterpart though. Juju. Now Juju, is kind of like I don't want to say contradiction, but kind of like a dichotomy where she was kind of being overshadowed because all eyes were on Caitlin, right? But her as a freshman was breaking all kind of records or on track to, but she's had like a bad stretch. Like I think yesterday or they won a game, but she shot horribly. I think she took like 40 shots and maybe made, 10 of them or something like that. It was a bad percentage. And so now all eyes are on Caitlin because she just broke the record. And then now what would have been maybe both of them be up there, being considered possibly for player of the year. I think she's kind of fallen off a little bit. And she also is going to be going to the Big Ten. And they were saying that what if Caitlin took her other year of eligibility because a lot of them have eligibility because of COVID. So what if she said, you know what, my NIL money would be more than I'll make in the WNBA.
You might do that, Mike.
What if I stay here so that now Juju and I will be the stars of not only the whole country but the Big Ten?
That she might do. Think about it. She
That's what I'm
does
saying.
Caitlin does what's that, Allstate, I believe, commercial she's doing.
Right.
She does Allstate. That is a great point. So that is an absolutely great point. Man, I would love to see that that matchup of those two. And you've seen Juju live. If she stays 4 years, is she capable of challenging the record Caitlin just now? You got to stay
Absolutely.
healthy and all that stuff.
Absolutely, because I think her average was higher. So if you do that over 4 years, that would be that. Because the thing about it is that 51-point game really kind of elevated things, but the last couple games it knocked her back down a couple notches. So I think
Yeah,
she's
but you're gonna have Caitlin's had bad games too. You're
right,
gonna have
exactly.
and clearly she's gonna have a green light. You said she had 40 shots, so even her bad game, she's gonna probably have 40 points.
Exactly. I mean, but when I look at their games, Juju reminds me of somebody like Shamika Holdsclaw. They got the game where you could tell they play with guys.
Yeah.
Where you get some, you can say, okay, she probably just dominated girls all the time. And but you could tell just the way they play is that she had to play against some dudes.
And Mike, you covered college basketball nationally for a few years now. Why are these young ladies getting so much better?
I mean, it's the same thing with soccer because I asked and it's funny how I talked to two of the U.S. soccer coaches. So I asked the soccer coach about why in this United States are we dominating so much with our own homegrown players? So why is our women dominating so much and then their counterparts are just mediocre for soccer? What is happening? And she said that a lot of the guys still gravitate towards basketball,
all the sports,
and all that, right? And so that's the reason why. So as for basketball, I mean, I think, you could say the WNBA is a big influence, but when we started talking about the inequality and them complaining about how we don't get the fans like we should, and why don't people try to be our partners instead of being critical of us? And then you get some of the players say, well, they don't generate enough revenue to get this and get that, and pay equity and all that. And they see the soccer women get themselves equity with pay. Then of course you see Serena and Venus spearheading them getting equal pay, or even sometimes even more pay. So the WNBA still has work to do, and that's why I guess they hope players like Caitlin could come in and maybe get that interest, because they look at Caitlin selling out football stadiums for a basketball game, how much she's getting the attention, and I guess they're hoping that when she comes to the WNBA, that'll do that. But another reason why they might want her to stay in college maybe one more year is because of that expansion team that's coming out here.
The, the expansion WNBA team?
Yeah, WNBA team, they don't have a name yet, but they're supposed to be called Golden State something. But yeah, but that right there, I'm sure they want to have absolute face of the league, to be on that team to introduce them. And then of course, if you got that there, then you have Steph on the men's side, and then have Caitlin or Cameron Brink, the start, she and Kiki out here at Stanford, one of them playing there, or somebody that will make them say, man, this new team in San Francisco, and they got this player, we got to go out there and start watching these games. So yeah. I think that's what they're hoping for. And I think right now, Caitlin is their Larry Bird in 1979, where it's like, this is going to change the whole league now. And the media, of course, will be excited because it's like, it's gonna make the fans want to come out and watch, this person.
But I go back to what you mentioned earlier with this NIL money. She can probably make more money staying in college than she can going to the pro. Right, I think Angel Reese remember Angel Reese talked about that.
Right, exactly.
After last year. Hey, I want to keep moving, man. The time is just flying by on us tonight, Mike. I don't know if you had a chance to see the comments from Rick Pitino after St. John blew a 19-point lead to Seton Hall yesterday. He went off on his team. Mm-hmm. Said they were unathletic. Let me just read you. We don't have video tonight, and I certainly wish we did. But he just called his team out. He said, this is Pitino after the game. They lost 68-62. They were up 19, let the lead get away. And after the game, he said, look, talking about one of his players, Joe Serranio, he said, Joe's slow laterally. He's not fast on the court. And Serranio is a leading scorer. He said, Chris Letlam is slow laterally. Sean Conway's slow laterally. All these are starters. He said, another player, Brady's physically weak, and Drizza is slow laterally. He said, we tried to get other players to come here, but there were circumstances that had to be done over that were out of my control. So we bit the bullet on some things, academically as well as athletically. As athletically. So, but my point here, Mike, were they slow when you were up 19 points?
Well, not only that, how does he keep his job after some nonsense like that? You basically just rip your team like that, and then like you said, were they slow then? And then also you sounding like sour grapes. How much of that was your coaching that you gave up that big lead?
Right.
And then
did you call a timeout?
Right. And just to kind of do a reverse quote on him. Okay, Jamal Mashburn's not walking through
right.
anymore. Okay, all these great players you had at Kentucky and Louisville, they're not walking through that door. So stop harping on that you have it like that.
No, and, go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
And then look at it like what you said about Boston. You said Larry Bird is not walking through that door. Kevin McHale's not walking through that door. If they do, they'll be too old to do anything. Blah 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 blah. And that's when he was with he was coaching the Celtics, right? So, it's a situation. And then, of course, he thought he was going to get Tim Duncan. And that's what kind of railroaded his NBA coaching. He thought he was going to get Tim Duncan in that draft. He ended up getting Chauncey Billups. And look at the irony of that. Chauncey Billups at that time was like drafted like number 3 or something like that. And then he just didn't work out in Boston. They thought he was going to be a bust. And then Larry Brown got a hold of him. And then, they won the championship, and he gets a moniker. And somehow, even though his stats are just average, he might be going into the Hall of Fame this year.
Hey, Mike, he said, we're so unathletic that we can't guard anybody without fouling. This is Pitino. for me, I've always enjoyed the first year, and I'm not going to lie to you. This has been the most unenjoyable experience of my lifetime. This has been so disappointing. That is such BS.
That's fireable. And then I'm just saying
That is
seriously.
such BS.
I don't know how the AD or anybody can still let they say, look, dude, you cannot be exposing us like that. You need to lose your job. Is that what you're trying to do? Because we will
Right,
help you.
man, Mike, how do you come into practice for him today?
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, put me in the portal right now. Put me in the transfer portal right now.
Well, apparently they were going in the portal anyway because he don't plan on bringing them back. But I think that none of this was his fault. None of what happened. Most coaches would have said, you know what, I needed to do a better job of. And now you want to tell him that in the locker room? That's one thing. But you're gonna go out on national media in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and,
Yeah.
and he and you're right, and he gets his job. He's Teflon, man.
Yeah, remember that scandal he had?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So
I,
amazing.
I don't know. We just got a couple more minutes here. Anything you want to try to hit on before we get out of here?
All right. Well, yeah. So we talked about women's basketball, and then we talked about the WNBA. Oh, and of course, Candace is coming back again with Vegas, so she could possibly get a three-peat. And she, LeBron, has won in three different places, won championships in three different teams. So it's gonna be interesting to see how she does it. And this be her last year? Because she already has her second career. She's on TNT all the time and all that. So I'm sure she's set up for when she calls it quits, but she still has a little life left in her. For college basketball, it's kind of been slept on a little bit, but Dawn, they're still the only undefeated team. They're running through it, everything. And you think about it, they didn't win last year, but think about what happened. They lost to Caitlin them, and that was
Right.
because her players couldn't really shoot. Leah Boston didn't really have that great of a game, and who knows if they could have won again. So we'll see if they are going to be the eventual champions because they're looking really good right now. They're undefeated, and they the last game they had a little bit of a challenge at halftime, but they got it together. So Dawn could be, get into more rarefied era this year, Dawn Staley. So that's a good thing. And then of course the NBA, we've already talked about that exhaustively. And then of course, the whole nonsense out here with the Niners, where all I keep hearing is all these excuses about, well, this and this, and then of course it's Wilkes' fault. His defense. It was. He didn't just fire him because of the Super Bowl. They fired him because of what happened against Detroit and Green Bay. And I'm like, okay, so that was all his fault. And then what about the other side? How they blew the game. We got your guy in Detroit who nobody's talking about firing him, and those were very, very egregious errors that he made. So think about
Well,
that.
man, they want to make him governor here.
Yeah.
Hey, one other thing, Mike, talking about women's basketball, Brittany Griner uh,
Got her
uh,
number. Yep.
finally had her number retired at at Baylor.
Right.
And my only thing was that what took them so long?
Well, remember, she had an interesting icy relationship with
She had a falling out, right?
Mulkey, but see,
With,
Mulkey left a couple years ago to go to LSU. And then she actually won the national championship last year, like we just talked about. So I think that this new regime said, you know what, whatever you had with her is not, down with us. So we're gonna make sure we honor you because that
yeah,
especially that team was 40-0 and won a championship. So you can't get any better than that. So
yeah, and to your point, Baylor coach Nikki Colleen said, "I have been saying this since I first arrived at Baylor that
right.
she deserves to have her jersey retired, and I want to make sure that happened."
And let's not forget, she was incarcerated You
Right.
say
Well,
I'm sure they didn't want to do
yeah,
it during that time. So
yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah, this was just impeccable timing this year. Their season is over. The WNBA season, and she had a so-so comeback. She's still dealing with her mental demons or whatever, or mental makeup of still dealing with what was happening over in Russia. But I think this was probably the best time to do it. Baylor, they're okay this year, but they're coming down to crunch time. Or see if they do something in a tournament, and then you do it now, then maybe that could be the precipice to get them going. But
yeah.
as I said before, unless something catastrophic happens, that those Gamecocks look like they gonna get
Yeah.
another one for
It
dog.
might be the South Carolina invitation, but
There you go.
man, anything can happen. College,
Yeah, I know. Like you said,
anything
like
can.
last year, they were
Yeah,
supposed to win last year.
yeah.
So
So, hey, man, we got to get out of here. We will be back. We'll figure out our time for our next show. Maybe Sunday, Mike. If check your schedule, and I'm going to the Michigan Purdue game Sunday. First game of the year, I'm going to see Vic Edie over at
okay,
Chrysler Arena. I don't get out to many games,
right.
but I'm going to make this one Sunday. So we'll talk and we'll have a time up. But until then, for my frat brother Mike Robinson, I'm Rick Hampton. Peace, everybody.